Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelenskyy is back home after a surprise visit to Washington, D.C. He broke up the journey by stopping in Poland, where he met with his Polish counterpart, Andrzej Duda. An aide to Duda said the leaders spoke for about 2 hours. Posting on social media, Zelenskyy said they discussed the year's historic challenges due to a full-scale war. While in Washington, Zelenskyy predicted that next year would be a turning point in the war, but stressed that Ukraine is still very much relying on continued support from its Western allies.
President Zelenskyy was given the red carpet treatment as he arrived at the White House. Greeted like an old friend by his U.S. counterpart, Joe Biden. They've spoken many times on the phone, but this was their first face-to-face meeting since Russia invaded Ukraine. In the Oval Office, Biden granted Zelenskyy another wish high on Ukraine's weapons list.
We're going to continue to strengthen Ukraine's ability to defend itself, particularly air defense, and that's why we're going to be providing Ukraine with Patriot missile battery.
For Zelenskyy, it was an opportunity to pay his respects to Ukraine's biggest backer.
I want to give you something. One guy, he's really real hero, real captain. And he asked me to pass his award. And he asked me to pass his award to President Biden. And you will understand, he is the captain of HIMARS battery. Yes, he's very brave, and he said, give it to very brave president. And I want to give you that is the cross for military merit. That is one.
Oh, God love you.
Yes.
Well, undeserved, but much appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
For Joe Biden, it was a chance to send a clear signal to Russia that the U.S. is in it to win it.
The United States is committed to ensuring that the brave Ukrainian people can continue to defend their country against Russian aggressions as long as it takes.
The President of Ukraine.
Next up for Zelenskyy, a hero's welcome as he addressed a rare joint session of the United States Congress.
Against all odds and doom and gloom scenarios, Ukraine didn't fall. Ukraine is alive and kicking. Our two nations are allies in this battle. And next year will be a turning point, I know it, the point when Ukrainian courage and American resolve must guarantee the future of our common freedom, the freedom of people who stand for their values.
Volodymyr Zelenskyy knows support like this in Washington will be vital in the months or years of fighting ahead, but it's not guaranteed. Some Republicans are concerned about the billions being given to Ukraine. And when they take control of the House next year, they might try to tighten the purse strings.
Let's go now to Russia analyst Maria Katamadze for the Russian perspective on this. Maria, what reactions have we seen from Moscow to Zelenskyy's U.S. trip?
Well, the reaction from the Russian side went as expected. Kremlin spokesperson Dmitry Peskov expressed disappointment since there was neither a call for peace nor readiness to listen to Russia's security concerns, as he puts it. According to the Kremlin, this means that the U.S. is indirectly fighting with Russia. Essentially, what Moscow does is to reinforce once again the narrative about total dependency of Vladimir Zelenskyy's decision-making on the Biden administration. And here it must be said that in Russia it's widely believed that that Washington is fueling the conflict by providing military equipment for Ukraine. Vladimir Putin has stated several times that he wants peace, and military assistance to Ukraine, in his view, is somewhat alienating Kyiv and Moscow from peace talks.
Okay,
However,
so Moscow sees this as a proxy war. Maria, I want to ask you, do you think that the U.S.'s promise of more support and the delivery of Patriot missile systems is going to further escalate the situation?
Well, Moscow has already stated that the Patriot defense system, which will help Ukraine to defend its airspace, will be seen as an escalation and a legitimate target for its attacks. However, many analysts believe that this can be part of so-called escalation game, when Russia is threatening Western countries in hope that they will support Ukraine less. And we have heard these vague threats from Kremlin since February, especially at the beginning of the war, when they made many Western leaders alert and cautious about military assistance for Ukraine. But given continued and growing support for Ukraine that we see now, the Kremlin's threatening narrative does not work very well at this moment.
Okay, now briefly, before I let you go, we are also hearing reports that Russia's defense minister, Sergei Shoigu, has visited frontline troops again. That's 2 visits in less than a week. Can you tell us what you think is behind that?
Well, firstly, we don't really know if he was actually on the front line this time. As you said already a couple of days ago, it was announced by the Russian Minister of Defense that Shoigu visited the front line. But after some time, some analysts and journalists discovered that he was filmed in an area in an occupied Crimea, which is not close to the front line. And, well, anyways, he did it for a reason, given the rising discontent over the conditions and equipment voiced by many family members of Russian soldiers. This was to show to the Russian audience that the military commander is also with the army and cares about his soldiers. But Shoigu's visit can also be a message for Ukrainians. We are here and we are not willing to stop our aggression.